You think it's healthy, dark chocolate, organic fruit, a plant-based burger. But for seniors, these safe foods can hide brain-rotting metals, organ-killing viruses, and enough lead to steal your memory. You won't see it until it's already in your body. Today, we're exposing 6 healthy grocery items that are actually dangerous. And the first one? You've probably had it this month, and it could already be damaging your body in ways you won't notice for years. Snap. That perfect break in a dark chocolate bar. The smell is rich, earthy, almost smug. You feel healthier just holding it. But here's the garnish nobody advertises. A sprinkle of lead and cadmium fine enough to make a chemistry teacher nervous. In 2023, Consumer Reports tested popular dark chocolate bars. 71%, yes, 71, went over safety limits for at least one heavy metal. And we're not talking shady no-name brands. Trader Joe's, Whole Foods, Target, Costco, all had products flagged. Your healthy dessert may be seasoning you with lead. Evolved Signature, dark 72% cacao, high in both lead and cadmium. Walmart's Sam's Choice, 72% dark, Cadmium City. These bars look like health wrapped in foil, but the inside is more periodic table than superfood. The worst part? You don't taste heavy metals. They don't smell like danger. They just sit there, quietly building up in your body. Over time, they can damage your kidneys, weaken your immune system, and, in kids, slow brain development. It's slow-motion sabotage. Still think organic chocolate means safe? California took it seriously. A lawsuit pushed for stricter limits, forcing brands to clean up their supply chain or slap warning labels on their wrappers. Some promised better sourcing, others went quiet and hoped it would fade. Reality? Those same bars are still sitting on shelves dressed in shiny foil, waiting for shoppers who think dark automatically means good for you. Picture this. You break off a square. It melts bittersweet on your tongue, while your body takes in a microdose of the stuff they warn about in industrial safety manuals. It's like signing up for an iron supplement, except the metal isn't the kind you need. One food safety expert called it unacceptable contamination in premium foods. Translation? This isn't a freak accident. This is baked into the system, a product people pay extra for, believing it's the better choice. And here's the kicker. Heavy metals are found naturally in soil, but proper testing and sourcing could prevent the worst of it. These brands just didn't. Dark chocolate is sold like a gym membership for your arteries, an antioxidant powerhouse. A good-for-your-heart indulgence you can feel smug about, but you can't out-antioxidize lead. No kale smoothie cancels cadmium. Your liver doesn't go, ah yes, I'll just swap that neurotoxin for some vitamin C. That's not how bodies work. You're basically sprinkling poison on your self-care routine and calling it wellness. What's the one healthy food you'd be most heartbroken to learn is secretly wrecking you? Drop it below. This isn't the fast, violent kind of food disaster. It's the kind you notice years later when just a little treat has been part of your daily ritual since college. And because it's marketed as healthy, you might eat it more often than the candy you openly admit is bad for you. The lesson here isn't never eat chocolate again. It's figure out which bars aren't doubling as a toxic sampler. That shiny gold foil and organic stamp? They're costumes, marketing at its finest, dressing up danger like it's a luxury gift. And in this case, that gift could be serving you a side of heavy metals with your midnight snack. Bite in if you want. Just know you're not indulging in health. You're auditioning for a periodic table exhibit, and if you think chocolate's the worst thing hiding in your freezer, wait until the fruit fights back. You open the freezer, grab a bag of frozen organic strawberries, and it's all bright red promise. Plump, glossy, the kind that whisper smoothie cleanse and make you feel like you've got your life together. You toss them in the blender, thinking you've just nailed the healthiest choice of your week. But in early 2023, those same berries came with a bonus: hepatitis A, not the tropical vacation you had in mind. One sip of that detox smoothie, and you might be detoxing from a hospital bed, wondering if the garnish comes with gloves. Your freezer could be holding a viral time bomb. This wasn't some tiny local problem. It hit across the U.S. The outbreak was traced back to imports from Baja California, Mexico. The strawberries made their way into Costco, Aldi, and Trader Joe's, places you'd trust for better produce. By the time the CDC stepped in, at least 10 people were sick, and several ended up in the hospital. And it wasn't just, oh, a little stomach trouble. Hepatitis A can wreck you. We're talking skin and eyes, going highlighter yellow, like you lost a bet with a spray tan booth. Fatigue so crushing you feel stapled to the couch. Abdominal pain that makes you swear someone's been using your ribs as a punching bag. And in severe cases, Your liver can wave the white flag entirely. All that from a smoothie ingredient you thought was the picture of health. Bet that blend doesn't sound so refreshing now. Organic doesn't mean immune. The brands behind the recall, Scenic Fruit Company and California Splendor, pulled products in March 2023. But how many bags were already sitting in freezers, ready to hit blenders, smoothie shops, and kids' lunch prep? That's the part nobody can measure. Picture this. You make a smoothie. The strawberries slide into the blender with that frosty thunk. A banana, maybe some spinach, almond milk. You hit blend, pour it into a tall glass, and down it with pride. 2 weeks later, you're not at the gym. You're wearing a hospital wristband while a nurse talks about your liver enzymes. A health official actually called the situation avoidable with proper sourcing and safety testing. Translation? Corners were cut, testing was skipped, and the people who paid for that shortcut were the ones who just wanted a healthy snack. One customer who bought the recalled batch said, "We thought we were doing something good for the kids. Instead, we were giving them something that could put them in the ER." That's not a mistake you laugh off. Frozen berries can last for months, which makes them perfect for harboring a problem quietly. Hepatitis A survives freezing. It's patient. It's not losing power while sitting in your freezer waiting for Sunday brunch. The part that stings? Organic produce carries this halo effect. People assume it's cleaner, purer, somehow protected from the dirtier realities of the food supply chain. In this case, organic just meant frozen with better marketing. The virus didn't care. What's the one healthy food in your freezer right now that you'd panic over if it had a recall? So yeah, you can still buy frozen strawberries. Perhaps it would be beneficial to know exactly where they came from and whether that company has a history of issuing health department press releases, because your next Fresh Start smoothie might not be the cleanse you were planning. And now, let's talk about the sugar swap that could mess with more than your sweet tooth. It might mess with your heartbeat. Coming in at number 4, the healthy sweetener that could be clogging your arteries. It's hiding in your sugar-free chocolate, your keto cookies, even that fancy zero-calorie sweetener packet you sprinkle like harmless fairy dust. Erythritol, the sweetener that's been sweet-talking your arteries while quietly sharpening the knife behind its back. Studies link it to higher risks of blood clots and heart attacks. So that guilt-free treat? More like a Trojan horse in a dessert costume rolling straight toward your bloodstream. You're not just sweetening your coffee, you might be sweetening your date with the cardiology ward. Sugar-free, not risk-free. In 2023, a Nature Medicine study dropped the bomb. People with high blood levels of erythritol had a much higher risk of heart attack and stroke. Not a little bump, a major spike. Why? Because erythritol can flip a switch in your platelets, making them hyperactive. Hyperactive platelets mean faster clotting. Faster clotting means blocked arteries. And blocked arteries mean, well, you get the picture. Here's the horror twist. It doesn't take much. Just one drink with erythritol can send your blood levels soaring to 1,000 times higher than normal. And those levels don't fade fast. They can stay elevated for days. That means the innocent iced tea you had on Monday could still be giving your arteries a workout by Thursday. The sweetener with a side of clauta, it's everywhere too. You'll spot it on labels in low-carb ice cream, protein bars, diet sodas, even in all-natural blends with monk fruit or stevia. Sometimes it's buried under a cute brand name so you don't notice it's there. One nutritionist put it bluntly, people think they're dodging sugar, but they're walking straight into a cardiovascular landmine. That's not hyperbole. Blood clots are like silent assassins. You don't feel them forming. You just feel the aftermath when it's too late. Picture this. You're celebrating a good checkup by grabbing a sugar-free dessert. Feels like a win. Hours later, your heart's playing a beat it wasn't rehearsing. That guilt-free choice? It might have been the drummer. What makes erythritol extra sneaky is that it's marketed to people already worried about health, diabetics, folks watching their weight, and keto followers. These are the very people who can't afford extra heart risks. Yet here's a sweetener sliding right into their daily diet, acting like a friend while planning the mugging. A former food industry insider admitted, "We love erythritol because it's cheap, tastes good, and you can call it natural. Consumers rarely question it." Translation? It's perfect for profit, not necessarily for your bloodstream. The natural label is just lipstick on a biochemical pig. Sure, it tastes sweet, but so does antifreeze. And while you're thinking you've outsmarted sugar, this stuff could be quietly stacking the odds for blood clots. Sweet deal for them, possibly a death wish latte for you. What's the one healthy food in your kitchen you're now side-eyeing after hearing this? The worst part? Nobody's saying you have to guzzle the stuff for it to be risky. That one can of clean energy drink or that single serving of low-carb pudding can spike your blood enough to hang around, waiting for its moment. If you've got heart risk factors already, that's like giving a loaded weapon to someone bad at impulse control. So next time you see sugar-free plastered across a label, maybe ask yourself what's taking sugar's place. Because sometimes dessert doesn't just skip the sugar, it skips the mercy. And speaking of healthy swaps with nasty surprises, the next one is a soda alternative the World Health Organization just shoved into the same cancer category as exhaust fumes. Number 3. The zero sugar soda, sitting in the same cancer category as exhaust fumes. It starts with that familiar of the can. Cold fizz hits your tongue. No sugar, no guilt, right? Except that sip comes with the same possible cancer label the World Health Organization just slapped on exhaust fumes. In July 2023, the WHO's cancer research arm put aspartame in Group 2B, possibly carcinogenic to humans. Zero sugar, possible cancer. That's the same category as aloe vera extract and pickled vegetables. Sounds harmless until you realize this list also includes gasoline engine exhaust. And yet, you'll find aspartame in Diet Coke, Pepsi Zero Sugar, Crystal Light, sugar-free gum, flavored waters, and even some kids' chewable vitamins. Some studies have linked high aspartame intake to a greater risk of liver cancer. Others have questioned its effects on the brain and metabolism. The FDA and European Food Safety Authority still say it's fine in moderation. But moderation gets blurry when it's hiding in 5 different things you drink and chew every single day. But here's the real shocker. Your average can of diet soda has about 180 milliliters of aspartame. The acceptable daily intake is set at 50 milliliters per kilogram of body weight in the US. Sounds generous until you're halfway through your 3rd can and chasing it with sugar-free gum. One nutrition researcher compared it to keeping a slow drip of chemical sweetener in your system all day. Not exactly the slogan on the label, and if you think switching brands will save you, think again. Aspartame shows up in healthy sports drinks, meal replacement shakes, and even protein powders. Picture this. You're sipping on a diet soda at your desk. The bubbles tickle your throat. You feel smart for skipping sugar. But every swallow is one more notch on the chemical counter in your body. Somewhere, your cells are taking notes. A food safety advocate once put it bluntly, "We sell aspartame like a diet trick, but it's more like a chemistry experiment with a good PR team." And the experiment doesn't care whether you're on keto or just avoiding cavities. What's the one healthy drink you'd actually miss if it got pulled tomorrow? Tell us in the comments below. Now, before you panic, no, one can of Diet Coke won't instantly give you cancer. But the point is, the risk isn't zero, especially if you're treating diet as a license to drink more. When the same ingredient sits on a list next to exhaust fumes, maybe it's worth asking whether fizz is worth the gamble. Because here's the kicker. The drink you're using to cut sugar might be trading one problem for another. And if you thought swapping soda for diet was the smartest move in your fridge, wait until you see the healthy burger that's never met a cow or a clean floor. Runner-up at number 2. The plant-based burger crawling with mold and listeria. Plant-based, cholesterol-free, eco-friendly, and, if you're unlucky, seasoned with a side of listeria. In late 2022, leaked documents from a Beyond Meat plant in Pennsylvania painted a stomach-turning picture. We're talking mold creeping across walls and equipment, and not the artisanal blue cheese kind. This wasn't a one-off fluke either. In just 7 months, Listeria monocytogenes, the bacteria that can cause severe food poisoning, was detected 11 separate times. Vegan doesn't mean vermin-free. If you're thinking, well, at least it's cleaner than a slaughterhouse, here's where it gets worse. Between 2021 and 2022, inspectors and staff also found metal shavings, bits of plastic, stray wood, and even pieces of string inside Beyond Meat products. Think about that next time you're chewing and feel something crunchy. One whistleblower described the plant as a mess that's constantly in cleanup mode. They claimed equipment was so caked with residue that crews had to scrape it off in chunks. And sometimes, those chunks didn't make it to the trash. Your burger's +1 might be mold. Even after all this, Beyond Meat has had to recall products. In Canada, they pulled patties for contamination after customers found wood splinters inside. That's not smoky flavor, that's actual lumber. Listeria is no joke. It can survive cold temperatures and thrive in damp areas. For pregnant women, the elderly, or anyone with a weaker immune system, it can be deadly. And the symptoms? Fever, muscle aches, vomiting, diarrhea. Basically, your weekend plans replaced with a bathroom marathon. Picture this. You're hosting a backyard BBQ, proudly serving clean, sustainable burgers. Your friends bite in, smiling at your eco-conscious choice. But somewhere between the lettuce and the bun, there's a microscopic gatecrasher ready to wreck someone's month. Or worse, a splinter sharp enough to send them to urgent care. A former maintenance worker told reporters the smell in certain parts of the plant was like wet dog food left in a sauna. Another employee said they learned to look away when mold crept up behind conveyor belts because there was no way to clean it mid-shift. Beyond Meat still insists their products are safe when handled and cooked properly. Sure, if your definition of safe includes dodging bacterial outbreaks and unexpected hardware. If you found a splinter or a chunk of plastic in your burger, would you finish the bite or chuck the whole thing? What are your thoughts on this? It's a perfect storm. High-demand production, complex machinery, and a brand image built on being better. But when the headlines aren't about sustainability and instead about listeria hits and foreign object recalls, it's hard not to wonder if better is just a label. That burger on your plate might be greener than you thought and not from spinach. And if you think that's bad, wait until you hear about the healthy kids snack so loaded with toxins it could change their blood work. And taking the top spot at number 1, the toddler snack. With 200 times the legal lead limit, a squeeze pouch, soft cinnamon smell, cute cartoon fruit on the label. You hand it to your toddler without a second thought. Now picture the lab test. Lead levels clocking in at 218 parts per million, over 200 times the FDA limit for baby food. Not double, not 10 times, 200. This one's sweet and sinister. Late 2023, parents in North Carolina got the news no one wants. 4 children were diagnosed with elevated lead levels. All 4 had one thing in common. They'd been eating Wanabana apple cinnamon fruit puree pouches, the all-natural snack that was supposed to be a shortcut to healthy. Turns out, the shortcut went straight to the toxic metals aisle. Investigators linked it back to contaminated cinnamon. This wasn't a trace amounts situation. This was the kind of reading that makes lab techs check the machine twice to make sure it's not broken. Lead-in kids isn't just bad, it's brain-changing. We're talking slowed development, learning problems, behavioral issues, and damage that doesn't go away. One pediatric toxicologist put it bluntly, every microgram counts. There is no safe level, 200 times the legal limit. And here's where it spreads like mold in a damp pantry. The recall wasn't just Wanabana pouches. Schnucks and Weiss store-brand apple cinnamon pouches, made by the same supplier, were pulled too. By November, the FDA was telling parents nationwide, if you've got these in your pantry, throw them out now. But what if your kid already ate them? That's the kind of question that makes a parent's stomach knot. And the thing is, these pouches looked perfect on the outside. Bright packaging, organic vibes, a squeeze-and-go convenience that feels like it was designed for the chaotic life of raising toddlers. And yet, inside, a heavy metal capable of literally rewiring your kid's brain chemistry. One parent in a local news interview said they only found out after their child's routine blood test came back with levels off the chart. They described the moment as like finding out the medicine you've been giving your kid was actually poison. Foreign objects in meat are one thing. You can spit those out. But with lead, there's no taste, no smell, no visual clue. You only find out when it's already in their system. The suspected culprit, cinnamon imported from outside the US, is now under investigation. It's not just about one brand or one factory. This points to a bigger problem with how imported food ingredients are tested, or rather, not tested before hitting store shelves. And here's the kicker. These pouches were marketed as safe for babies as young as 6 months. That means the people most vulnerable to leads damage were also the target customer. If a brand sells food for kids with this level of contamination, should they ever be allowed back on store shelves? Drop your thoughts in the comments section. Parents were told to rush their kids in for blood tests if they'd eaten any of the recalled batches. Suddenly, pediatric clinics looked like flu season on steroids, lines of worried parents clutching toddlers who just wanted another pouch. Nurses were poking tiny arms, while marketing slogans about all-natural goodness echoed in the background like a bad joke. You could practically watch the glossy fruit print packaging peel away, revealing the cold, metallic truth. This healthy snack was basically a lead delivery system in a squeezable pouch. And the company? They issued the recall, expressed concern, and promised to work with authorities. But for families dealing with the fallout, that PR line reads a little like a sorry for your inconvenience email after an airline loses your luggage, except the luggage here is your child's long-term health. So next time you're in the baby food aisle staring at those colorful pouches, remember, sometimes healthy in bold letters is just ink. Food should help you live longer, not shorten the warranty. Like, subscribe, and drop your most shocking healthy food gone bad story in the comments. No mercy. Want the receipts and safer swaps? Stick around.